find the volume of the solid below. The 4 centimeters in the conical section is the height of the cone. So this is the height. And let's note that we know now the radius. Okay, this is the radius is equal to 3. All right, and also for this cone here, because we have a cylinder, we have 2 cones. So we also know that this is also 3. Okay, this is the height. Now we need the height for volume. Okay, let's go ahead and write down from left to right. Cone, we got to find the volume of a cone, plus cylinder, and plus another cone. All right, these 2 cones are identical. So let's begin. Let's go to the formula chart, go to volume, find me cone. Let's write this down. The volume of a cone is 1/3 area of the base, and I want you to remember to replace that capital B with pi r squared h. Okay, now the capital B is pi r squared, and the h is the height of the cone. Now go to the cylinder and write it down. Replace that capital B with pi r squared. We want pi r squared h. So the volume of the cylinder is the volume area of the base times the height, and we want to rewrite this over here for the cone. It's the exact same thing. So 1/3 times pi r squared h. All right, now we need the radius. We already know that radius is 3 for both cones. It's also the radius for the circle for the cylinder. Okay, we use the same radius for all 3. We know the radius for all 3. The height of the cone is going to be different than the height of the cylinder. Let's identify that. Let's make sure we know where the height of the cylinder is. Remember, it goes from the base of one end of the cylinder to the other base. This is the height for the cylinder. Okay, now, the more organized you are, the easier this will become. So 1/3 times 3.14 times the radius 3 squared times the height. Which height? Cone. Come over here, the cone's height. Okay, the cone's height, we already know the cone's height is 4. Okay, bring that in, bring down this plus sign, start replacing. Now you're in the cylinder section, so 3.14 times 3 squared times height. Get organized, go back, look up. Height of the cylinder is 10. Bring that down, bring down this plus sign, bring down now the 1/3. You're in the cone section. Replace the pi with 3.14. all right, radius is still 3 throughout. Make sure to square that. The height, make sure you go back to the cone and get the height. We're in this cone, which still is the same as 4. All right, now control divide 1/3. Now 1/3, all right, times 3. Gotta get my multiplication. So times 3.14 times 3 squared times 4 plus 3.14 times 3 squared times 3 squared now times 10. I'm just looking at my formula that I wrote down. So plus, now I'm to the second cone. Control divide 1/3 times 3.14 times 3 squared times 4. All right, now Here's where you round. Now let's take a look and see what would happen to this value if we used all of pi in place. So all I arrowed up, and I'm just going to go over here and replace 3.14 with pi. Okay, and I'm going to take a look and see exactly the difference of 3.14. That's the rounded pi versus using all of pi. Pi is a very long set of decimals. And take a look at that. All right, so here it is. 358.14 would be my rounded at the end versus 357.96. Okay, make sure you're following the instructions to use 3.14, not all of pi, especially on the ACP when you are doing the free response. Make sure you're following those notes. Use 3.14 and then round at the end.